Okay, we need to talk about an urgent warning that's just come out from one of Thailand's top disaster experts. We're looking at Typhoon Kalmaegi, and it's on a direct collision course with the country. But here's the thing, the situation is way, way more dangerous than it might seem at first glance.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the warning itself and the super tight timeline. Then we'll get into the twin threats, the storm and the country's already overflowing dams. We'll see how this compares to past disasters, who's most at risk, and finally, what incredibly tough choices have to be made, like right now.
All right, first up, let's just establish how serious this is. This isn't just your average daily weather forecast.
When Dr. Siri Suvarat says something like this, you listen. This is a warning, the highest level. He's not messing around. This is the most serious alert you can get for a storm like Typhoon Kalmaegi, and it means there's a huge, imminent threat.
And look, the clock is ticking, big time. Right now, as we speak, Kalmaegi is beefing up into a super typhoon. It's set to slam into Vietnam tonight, and by tomorrow, it's going to be entering Thailand as a really powerful storm. There's almost no time left to prepare. Now, here's where it gets really, really dicey. The danger isn't just the wind and the rain from the storm itself. Nope. It's a combination of two really critical factors that are creating a true perfect storm scenario.
It's like a 1-2 punch. On one side, you've got the storm's fuel. The weather's been super hot, which means the air is just loaded with moisture. That's basically food for a typhoon, making it bigger and stronger. And on the other side, you've got the country's vulnerability. The major dams are already dangerously full, which means there's nowhere for all this new rain to actually go.
And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, look at these numbers. The huge Boomable and Sirikit dams, both at 97% full. And then you have Kwai Noi and Pasak Jolisid, they're already over 100%. That means they are literally overflowing right now. There is zero buffer left. None. So you might be thinking, well, haven't we had other storms this year? And you're right, we have. But the expert assessment is crystal clear. This one is a completely different beast. See, Dr. Siri points out that the other big storms this season, like Wipa and Hajibis, they either fizzled out before they got here or they kind of missed us. Kalmaegi is doing neither. It's on a direct path and it is not weakening. That changes absolutely everything. What's making this extra dangerous is its speed, or its lack of speed. It's expected to be a very slow-moving storm, which means it's just going to park itself over the country and dump rain. We could see 300 millimeters in just 48 hours. To put that in perspective, that's an amount officially considered a direct threat to life and property. It's a massive amount of water.
Okay, so we know how much rain is coming. The next huge piece of this puzzle is, where is it all going to fall? Let's trace the storm's path and see which areas are right in the crosshairs.
And the impact zone is just huge. It's going to start in the northeast, or Isan, with Ubon Ratchathani getting hit first and probably the hardest. From there, it's just going to sweep right across the upper central plains and push up into the lower northern provinces. We're talking about a massive, widespread event.
For the people in Ubon Ratchathani, this is a truly terrifying double flood scenario. First, bam, they get hit with immediate flooding from all the rain the storm drops right on top of them. But it doesn't stop there. The storm then moves upstream and dumps even more water, which then has to flow back down the river system, hitting Ubon with a second and probably much worse wave of flooding.
You know, this whole situation is giving a lot of people some very serious and alarming flashbacks to the catastrophic floods of 2011. And while things are a bit different, there's one piece of data that is just incredibly worrying. Okay, this right here is the number that should have everyone on high alert. The water flowing through the critical Chao Phraya Dam right now is at 2,700 cubic meters per second. At the absolute peak of the 2011 disaster, that number was 3,000. So we are just 300 units away from that historic, catastrophic level, and the main storm hasn't even hit yet.
So this brings us to the single most important question right now, doesn't it? Is the rain from this one storm going to be enough to close that 300-unit gap? Because if it is, we could be looking at flood levels that are just as bad as what we saw in 2011.
Now, the key difference is how we'd get there. The 2011 flood was caused by multiple storms, one after another over many weeks. This threat is from one single, really intense, slow-moving event. So the flooding might not last for months this time, but the peak water level, the worst of it, could be just as high. It's like one potential knockout punch instead of a drawn-out fight. So, given that the dams are full and this massive typhoon is on the way, what can possibly be done? The hard truth is that both the authorities and the citizens are facing some truly impossible choices.
I mean, the people managing the water are in a terrible, terrible spot. It's a real catch-22. Option A, they can open the floodgates now, release huge amounts of water from the dams to try and make some space. But that would immediately make the flooding worse for all the towns downstream that are already underwater. Option B, they can hold the water back, wait, and just hope the storm isn't as bad as predicted. But if they're wrong, the dams could just overtop completely, leading to a catastrophic, uncontrolled flood.
And Dr. Sarah uses a very specific, very powerful Thai word to describe what happens if they go with option B and get it wrong. Hayana. It basically translates to disaster or catastrophe. It's what happens when the water just flows over the dams uncontrollably. At that point, you've lost all control.
So for regular people, especially anyone living downstream from these dams, the advice is direct and it is urgent. You have to follow the official news on dam water releases very, very closely. Do not underestimate this storm. And if you are in one of those high-risk areas, the time to prepare to move your valuables to high ground is right now, immediately. So all of this information, it leads us to one final, very sobering question. The storm is less than a day away. The dams are already at the breaking point. The choices are agonizing. With the clock ticking down, can this disaster still be avoided?